right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to what is this? Our third Zoom meeting?
Yep.
Second? Third already.
Third. Yep.
My name is Craig Peterman, volunteer at BadgerBots and the State of Wisconsin Region's program delivery partner. Today we've got Jay Church, who is our one of our two head referees. We're expecting Brian Hicks here later today. He's one of our two head
He's going
judges.
to be here in a minute. He just had to do one thing real quick on roundtable.
Very good. All right, there you go. Confirmation. And so those of you that are new to the Zoom calls, welcome. We'll have a few just kind of administrative remarks. Jay will talk about certain reffing rules that may have come up. And then if Brian Hicks has some judging issues that have come up, he'll discuss those. And then we'll open it up for questions and discussion. So, actually, there's not a whole lot to discuss administratively. Hopefully, everybody's getting the weekly newsletter. There is a calendar, a very general calendar in there about the sequence of events. Get registered at firstinspires.org. Once we have the Wisconsin regional confirmation, the venues, then we will put together the registration process for teams to register for a regional. And you will register. When you register, you will put your top three preferences of the regional that you want to participate in. We do that because some regionals have capacity. Some teams want to compete with the other five teams from their schools. So it's a six-dimensional scheduling challenge. But last year, I was pretty happy that 90% of the teams got their first choice. So hopefully we'll go for that again this year. We are going to have two new regionals this year. I'll leave that until we have final confirmation of all the other ones, but just to keep that in mind, a little exciting there. Always exciting to welcome new hosts to the family. So coaches will go in and do their preferences. We'll keep that process open for 2 weeks, possibly three, depending on the timing. But by the end of September, we're going to close that process and then start assigning teams to their specific regional, obviously, as best we can with the preferences put in. That will then trigger emails to the coaches. Congratulations, your team is participating in whatever regional it is. And then in that email, there will be a link for the fee, which I think in one meeting I might have said it was 170. That was last year. I'm pretty confident this coming year it's going to be 175. So keep that in mind for your budgeting purposes. And then after that, then it's just preparation for the regionals, getting your teams ready, getting your robots ready. So, before I pass it on to Jay, are there any questions about the administration, registration, anything along those lines? Going once, twice. All right. Well, then I will pass the mic over to Jay to see if there's any pressing issues on the robot game.
Hey guys, how's it going? So I did check today. There are no updates for rules. If you guys have not seen the unannounced or unreleased build update, there is one. First, actually change some of the PDFs for the building inside their link, but didn't update it on an actual official update. That I did get information with all the links and the updates. That's on the Slack channel, so you guys can go over there and take a look at that. Just a couple different details, a couple different, I think bag numbers changed for something. It might help you guys when you're building. That being said, we haven't had a lot of questions in the last week or two. I know I did tell you guys we wouldn't be answering any of the specific edge case questions until we had our referee meeting. We did have a head referee meeting, not the referee meeting yet, Elijah. We had the head referee meeting for our regular head refs for the state, and I can answer a lot more questions now. We kind of whittled down to how we're going to rule some of the more outlier issues. So feel free to ask those. I will let Brian Hicks go for questions before we get into game rule questions, because I don't know what you have planned, Brian. So
Really don't have anything planned yet. Brian and I did meet to start discussing judging. We know based on the rubrics, there'll probably be more questions that start to come out. And as, before the tournaments go, we hope to have, for anybody that's would like to judge also, to be able to go through some of that and maybe put some more questions together as Craig was saying, some of the feedback from last year, it's like we're hoping to get maybe better questions to the judges, more relevant to what we've seen in the past, to maybe clear up some areas if possible.
okay, so we will be taking specific game questions as well as specific questions for Brian. Anything that we can help you guys with, we will. I also want to throw in a couple of the notes in the newsletter. Craig did mention, I know I saw the scrimmages, right? Those are in the newsletter. So for teams looking for scrimmages,
There's 2 of them in the newsletter.
yep, I'm looking at. I can pull up the newsletter now. So, is Twist out of? Are they in Muskego? Yeah, McWanago or Muskego?
It's not McGuanago.
Muskego.
Okay, so out of Muskego, they're doing a scrimmage on October 12th. There is a sign-up sheet. I'm not sure what the turnaround is on assigning schedules and stuff through them, but there is a sign-up sheet available. Head to your newsletter, and I think that Allison also posted a link on the Slack channel. So if you guys are interested there, go sign up there. The Waukesha scrimmage is on October 26th. The sign-up sheet is in the newsletter for that. Yeah, so for new coaches, I see a lot of familiar names here. There's a couple people I don't know. So if you're a new coach and you kind of don't know where to start, you're kind of lost in all of it, you're not sure where to go, you're not sure if you can do this. First of all, you can do this. There's a great support system here in Wisconsin. The FLL program here is second to none. I promise. Jump on the Slack channel, start talking to some of the people there. Some of the best, literally the best coaches in the world are there. And also sign up for one of the scrimmage sessions. Sign up for, if you can, sign up for judging. Because once you learn what these teams or what the judges are looking for, then you'll have a greater understanding of what you're, what should be coaching your team, right? So you don't know what you don't know. So, we used to read rubrics and think we knew what we were doing, but until we started judging and reffing, it just takes everything to a new level. And with that, I don't know, Elijah, do you want to speak about the Oak Creek thing, or do you just want me to give rough information there?
I can speak on it.
Okay, go ahead.
So on the 21st of September, the robotics team with Oak Creek High School, we're going to be hosting a coach's workshop. So basically, anyone new or old can come in. And it's almost like it's going to be set up like classes, so that you come in and you can learn a new skill. So like, for example, Jay is going to be ideally teaching a session on robot game and all the things that you would need to learn about it before you're even a coach. So it's a lot of things like that. I think it's a great resource. So anybody that can come in, I guarantee you'll learn something new. So, yeah, 21st of September, and it's right at the high school over here in Oak Creek, just a little bit south of Milwaukee.
I see Elijah did put a link to that in the chat. There's also a link to that on the newsletter, or in the newsletter as well. Yeah, so I see Art replaying. I remember when Art just started coaching here, and yeah, we kind of begged and pleaded for everybody to get in and do the scrimmages and judging. And Art, yeah, I know it was a good experience for you guys as well, and we appreciate you. All right, anybody have any questions? I guess open questions about anything.
I did have one kind of thing. You guys were mentioning about tournament signups. This year, my numbers have exploded again. I'm back up to 4 teams. I'm kind of thinking that it's probably to my advantage to maybe try to split between 2 different tournaments. What are your thoughts on that, or should I just book them all into the same weekend and be done with it?
Are you asking the coaches or asking just anybody in
Just
general?
in general. I mean, I don't want to be a nuisance with my teams either, and I don't think it's fair for my own kids as well when I put them all into the same tournament. It's like, oh, we just get to scrimmage against the same people we practice against.
That's fair. How is your how's your coaching staff? How deep is your coaching? Do you have enough?
I was just going to say, do you have a lot of coaches?
Yeah.
I've got 1 adult volunteer per team right now, and I'm doing all of the
That would be a lot in one
the
day.
paperwork and just making sure everything's taken care of. And then I have the high school robotics coach kind of backing me up if anything falls over.
Well, I know we have
Okay.
2 people here with us that manage a bunch of cats as well, Peggy and Jen. Can you guys give him any insight there?
So we've tried 2 teams on one day. I'm in a similar situation this year because I accidentally became a coach to a second team, a head coach, which was not my intention. I'm actually concerned with doing 2 teams on one day unless I can significantly split their judging times. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out. As you kind of talk through your problem statement, I do think 4 is too much on one day.
Yeah.
I think that's
I've
going
tried
to be
it
a
once.
nightmare, and I don't think those parents are going to be independent. So maybe 2 on each day on the same weekend, if you could swing it.
Right.
And
I don't know.
as Jen had alluded to, trying to schedule them so that they don't overlap. 2 teams, depending on who's tournament coordinator, that can be done. 4 teams, Jay, you can jump in. It's almost impossible. With between the on the table and then in the judging room, it's a challenge.
Well, I've also told my teams that if they don't have a decent innovation project presentation, I'm not even going to register them. So
We took 3 teams. Oh, go ahead. Okay, Brian.
I would say I would encourage you to register them. The best way they learn it, and that's part of what's great about a lot of the judges that we have. They will find a way to make them feel proud of what they've done and actually give them and encourage them and give them feedback of what they could do. So even if it's not great, I would say still register them. It's still a good experience.
Okay.
Art,
Art, what I'm
Right.
trying to do with my littles, because none of them have done this before, I'm actually taking them to one of the 2 scrimmages so that I can teach the parents what to do at the scrimmage, so that once I take them to the competition, this is my hope. This may not work out for me, but my hope is that since they have seen it once and they understand the flow, then they will be able to be more independent the second time. But again, if none of these adults have ever done this before, I feel like you need a trial run with them if you're
Right.
going to have multiple teams coming on the same day.
I was actually planning on having a scrimmage at our local public library ahead of any of our dates. Just for the parents that can't go, the grandparents that want to see the kids do stuff, that don't want to travel to wherever we're going. That they can all come down and have a look.
Right. And Art, if you need like a pretend judge to judge them virtually, let me know. I'm more than willing to spend time. I've done it before.
Yeah.
But I think that, just making sure that the parents and the kids are understanding of the process is going to be your biggest asset if you're going to have multiple teams on one day.
Yeah, I know.
And actually what we did one year, and I don't remember if this was with you, Kim, I think we had one of the teams on Saturday and one of the teams on Sunday, and actually the team on Sunday came on Saturday. Was that right, Kim, or did I have that flipped?
No, that's correct. And then both teams came both days just to support the other teams and cheer for them.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because then you can have some members of the team actually experience it without experiencing it for the first time, which might also help out if your primary team is on that second day. I don't know. Maybe none of this will work for you, but I'm trying hard myself to manage it as well.
I'm just trying to pick your brains since this is the hive mind here, wherever I can to get better ideas. So thank you so much for answering my question.
I would actually maybe go the other way as well. So think about, and certainly not disagreeing with Jen, but I would think about putting my more experienced teams on the first day if you go 2 days. That way, the younger teams can come see an event, see how it goes, and then maybe get a better feel for the next day. So that's an option as well.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I took 3 teams to tournament a couple times. It was an absolute nightmare. And there's a kid in this room right now.
I would say, I think I know one of them.
There's a kid in this room right now who was on a team where they refused to do a good project, no matter how much we begged and pleaded. We registered them. They went to tournament. They got first place in the tournament in the robot games, and then all wondered why they didn't advance. So it's a great learning experience.
Right.
Absolutely phenomenal learning experience, right, Elijah?
No, I think you're right, Jay. I mean, our first team didn't intend to bomb, but we did. We didn't even bomb that bad. But I mean, it is a learning experience and is a good opportunity for them to see what's good looks like outside from your like nuclear library thing.
Right.
I think it makes a big difference.
And I mean, I'll do another plug for Elijah's program, what they're putting together. It's not just for coaches. If you can get some of the parents to come along, that might help get you support also, which is desperately needed. So if you've got 4 teams, I think there'll be a whole session in there. I think someone, Jerry Chris, was going to just talk to parents about the judging, the etiquette in the room and what to expect, things like that. Because our whole goal with the judging is students come first. Okay. If the parent didn't make it there, oh, well, our top priority is the students.
Right. That was my other point. So when you're trying to stretch yourself thin, you're splitting basically 5 people between 4 teams. And at some point, maybe the teams aren't getting the support they need. Like you might have teams trying to run over here and rehearse their script, but you have to go to the robot table, right? So the inmates are running the asylum there for a little while. So.
Right. And I even have some mentors from the high school team that want to come in and help because they were there in FLL and they know the robot game table. And it's like, oh, yeah, why don't you go and mentor the kids while they're at the tournament at the robot game? Remind them of all the things that you've seen them do and make sure that it's up
or the
scratch.
mistakes they made, right, Elijah?
Right.
Poor Elijah. Yes. He's not coming to these anymore.
I know.
Thank you anyway. I didn't want to eat too much time.
Oh, no, we're all here for each other, Art. Anybody else have any questions of any sort?
I had a team with a robot game question that I just want to confirm I didn't miss it. They were asking about jigs and if they can extend into that home area. I'm finding nothing. Am I missing anything, or is that the case that they can't extend?
So same as last year. It's okay. I hate saying that. I should not say that because there are teams that didn't know what last year is. So yes, jigs can, as long as they don't extend out onto the playing field out of the launch/home area, they can extend back over into home. The verbiage you're probably looking for there, I'll pull my rule book in a minute, is intended to move. So the jig isn't intended to move, therefore it's not restricted by the launch inside the start area.
And they were adding to that about they wanted to potentially hook it over the south wall, and that's a no, correct?
Let me think about that one.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we know that they can, like, you can go over the wall.
But not the south wall, right?
For extra space. I don't know if it actually states south or not. I think it only states east and west, right? I'll look it. I'll pull it. So if anybody else has any questions while I'm looking for that.
I think you're dangerous if the mat's not aligned, right? Then you're into the well, but not. Yeah. We're doing jigs right now too, so thanks for the question, Peggy. That was helpful.
So we have quite a few edge case situations that we're going to put out to you guys as things that you should be on the lookout for. I'll probably just have Craig start putting the ref tips in the weekly newsletter. We'll give you guys 1 or 2 at a time. If you guys happen to ask the questions, that's cool. But there are some things we think that you guys really should know going in.
And Jay, when we're actuating either that submarine guy at the back middle of the mat or that anglerfish guy, we're just looking at the latch position, correct? When we say it's actuated, not
Yes.
the position of the things that, okay, thank you.
Yep, actuated. So in the one instance, it tells you, like the mast, it tells you what activated means. So it actually tells you the activated means that the latch is stopping it from coming back down. So for people that weren't here last or the first week, we were talking about overshooting that mast, that raising the mast. And the way the rule is written now, I know a lot of you guys probably saw discussions on one of the Facebook groups about it. The way that rule is written right now is if the mast overshoots and flops over, it's still in a scoring position, is our interpretation of that rule. I would expect that maybe first we'll be changing that. So that's a good piece of advice to give you guys actually. If you think you guys are on an edge case with some of your programming, like, okay, we think the rule here, we think this is okay, but we're not quite sure, maybe err on the side of caution and don't put yourself in that situation, right? So kind of work your program so you're not putting yourself in that gray zone as much as you can. Sorry, I'm looking up a rule here. And also, teams will probably notice that the mat is a little bit smaller this year. That is intentional. It's not a mistake. You don't have a bad mat. We did give a little piece of advice last week or the week before. So instead of trying to measure your home areas, so measure your table, find the dead center in the table, and on your north wall, just put either some fingernail polish or an ink marker or something there for a dot. And the easiest way to line up your table is put your mat on your table, bring it all the way south, and then there is an arrow at the top on the north side of your border. Just line up that dot with the mark that you made, and you'll be centered. Because I believe in the game rule book, I think they still have the old measurements in there, so that wasn't optimal. So if you're measuring like 6 3/4 on one side and it's 7 1/8, you're going to be way off on one side. Sorry, Peggy, I'm looking for that. I'm pretty sure I saw it this year. They changed this rule book up a whole lot, so it's a little tough to find some of the things that we know should be here. Okay, well, while I'm looking for that one, so Jen, Rule 9, I think what you said is correct. Teams will not be given additional storage space. Storage tables or trolleys are not allowed. Everything must stay on the table. The areas to the left and right of the mat can be used to store equipment and measure approximately 6, blah, blah, blah. So that measurement's incorrect, like I was just saying. Equipment stored on the table may extend past left and right walls only. So you are correct, not the south wall, left and right walls. Sorry, still looking. Okay, Peggy, the rule is 15. When launching, technicians may not keep anything from moving. Second bullet point, the robot in anything it is about to move must fit completely inside the launch area. Since the jig, I know you know this, but I'm just saying it for others that may not. So the jig is not an intended item to move, so therefore it's not held to the constraint of being in the launch. It can go into home. So was there another one I was looking up? No, that was it, right? I think that's it. So I'll give you guys a good one. Just because we're way early here. I'll give you guys a good ref tip. Rule number 7. I'm going to pull it up here. So this is an example of edge cases that we are going to start putting in the newsletter, I believe. Sorry, I changed my screen here. Okay, You guys see it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So number 7 here. So this symbol up here, is my mouse showing as well? I can't see it.
Yeah, we can see you circling it.
Sorry, I can't see what I'm showing and what I'm not. So this is a constraint that's put on, and I do like that they have this year. So this is telling you that no equipment can be touching the model at the end of the match. Okay? So this is one that I think a lot of teams are not going to think about, and this is one that we do want to share with you guys because this is going to happen a lot. So the way this works is teams will raise this bar and reach in and grab the treasure chest that's inside here. It goes here. And teams are going to be taking this home and with the intent on pushing it back out somewhere, right? Or doing something with it. So there's another
Yeah, it's supposed to go in the boat.
Yeah, right here. Okay. So the way this rule is written, if you have this in home and you have it in a jig, in a sled, anything like that, at the end of the match, you would not get points for this mission. Because this mission, the model, is touching team equipment. Okay? So this is one that's going to get a lot of teams. You guys understand what I'm saying here? So the thing that they pull out of here, this treasure chest, right? Do they show it anywhere? I promise there's a treasure chest in there. Okay, they don't show it. There's a treasure chest inside here. It starts out underneath the Kraken. So team takes it back to home. If you just have it in home at the end of the match, no problem at all. If it's touching team equipment, which is anything you bring to the table with you, let's say you run out of time. You were getting ready to send this out to your shipwreck, and you run out of time. The way the rule is written, you won't get points for scoring this mission because it's touching team equipment at the end of the match.
You just said if it's home, though, you will. So how does that work?
If it's in home, you score because the treasure chest is outside of the Kraken's nest. Okay?
Okay.
If you are now going for the second part of this, which is number 14, I think it is, 15, you get extra points for moving this treasure chest out to this research vessel. So you got it home, you're all good. If you're getting ready to transport that and you run out of time and it's on a jig, touching the robot, touching anything you brought, by rule, that doesn't score.
What if it's in home and touching equipment?
It scored at the end of the match, right?
Yeah. So just make sure the kids take the treasure chest off.
This is exactly one of the edge cases that we're talking about.
Yep.
We don't know if this was a mistake. So we went through and made a whole list of things to send out to FIRST. I've already started compiling that list and trying to get answers. So I will let you guys know that last year that process took weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to get answers back from them. And then sometimes they needed more clarification of what our questions were. So however that goes. So the way the rule is written now, even if this is a mistake, this is how we have to rule it. Because there's nothing that tells us that this is not meant to be here. It's in their score sheet as well. So it's going to get a bunch of teams this year.
Hey, Jay, we have some extremely new coaches on the call. Would you be able to go through how to navigate to this book online real quick again? And can you drop that in the chat by chance?
I can, yes. Let me, I'm going to stop sharing and then I will open a browser and go that way.
Is there a limit to the number of jigs that can be attached and detached?
Attached to the robot?
Correct.
So let's be cautious about how we're using the term jig. A jig is standard. A jig is a term that's standardly used for alignment and is not attached to the robot. It's an alignment. If the question is there a limit to attachments to the robot, such as arms, lifts, stuff like that? There's no designation difference now between that and the robot. So if something is meant to be, if something starts out attached to the robot, it is part of the robot and subject to the rules of the robot.
Got it.
So
But those attachments can be taken off and replaced as when the robots come home, right?
Sure.
Sorry, I'm sorry for the basic question.
No,
It's hard to
we
figure
appreciate
that
it.
out.
You just have to make sure they all fit together. Remember, there's another rule that they get a free 20 points if it all fits in that quarter circle. So they may enjoy building all these jigs, but at some point there's a strategy around how much stuff they want to bring to the table. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So all the equipment, all their attachments have to fit inside that little home area.
Yeah, within that 12-inch height can be a problem.
Yeah.
So-
So that's page 9 of the rule book. Just above it, where it's got to be within one of the launch areas where everything's got to fit.
Okay, so just a slight clarification. The rule says in order to get the bonus points, you fit in one. So if you don't fit in one, you can fit in both of the spaces. So you will be permitted to run your robot if you can't fit all your stuff in the one inspection for the bonus. But if you can't fit in both spaces, then you're not allowed to launch the robot. Okay, I'm going to share. Okay. So for new coaches that are trying to get to all of the literature, and this will also hold true for judging material and stuff as well. If you go to firstinspires.org, okay, and there's a couple different ways to go to it, but I do notice it's different sometimes on different browsers, and it's different sometimes on an iPad, so I always go from the top here. So what we're looking for is First Lego League, Game in Season. And so FLL, as what we call it, is actually FLL Challenge. Okay, so that brings you up to the resource library. And here's Welcome Letters Engineering Notebook. So the game rule book is here. That's the rule book I was sharing earlier. Your season reveal and your game mission video is down here. There's some other good literature here too, like preparing for the events and stuff like that. And then also the rubrics are here. So basically all of the resources that you would use provided from FIRST will be in this area here. There will be other literature and stuff that BadgerBots or other events may give you, but in general, to run your team for the year, this is literature that you'll want.
And
go ahead.
I was just say, as Jay pointed out, the rubrics are there.
Pop them open.
They're there for you to go through with your teams, because that's actually what they will be judged. The judges use that, so everything is laid out there. So we encourage you to review that with the teams. Now, whether the students actually look at that and follow through, that's sometimes the challenge.
These are the same rubrics that the judges have in the rooms with them. So
Yes.
With the new rubrics, how you get judged on core values during innovation projects or robot design. If you get a 3, let's say in innovation project, will you also get a 3 in the core values, or will there be, like, maybe you don't prove that you did a lot of core values on that, identify, so you get a 1 on that and then a 3 for the actual robot, or I'm sorry, innovation project?
Yeah,
No,
Jay,
so,
why don't you
yeah.
go to the second page? Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Right there is a good point. So that actually, the little, is that a gear or the ring like that? That's actually, yeah, that's actually whatever is marked there applies for innovation project and core values. So when we actually go in and judge, it will be the same. You don't get to color one part of it for one or the other. It is the same thing. So the way that is written, the judges will be actually instructed and told what you select there applies to both. And they should be able to, if it's not clear enough for them, That's the whole point of the judges, and to be able to ask the students questions to get that, to make sure we can get them to the next level, or to clarify, to make sure that we actually, okay, they're developing, but then when you ask them questions, okay, they are accomplished. So that's the goal of the questions and answers also. And so they have the same thing then down on the robot is there, and they have the core values. And then they're also judged on the table. So Jay will be out there, and they're judged for core values out on the table also.
And Brian, I just for my brain here, did you say that if for instance there's a 2 here, that this is also a 2? These are not separate.
No, they are separate. So
Okay.
if you look at the under identify and the questions, they are different things, but a lot of the questions that are core values apply for the core values area. Each line is actually a separate thing that they're judging on. So if you go under identify, the first one, I can't read, I don't have my glasses. I'll zoom in a little bit. So if you look at identify, and you look at the top one, minimal evidence of mission strategy, partial evidence of strategy, or clear evidence of a strategy. That's for robot right there. But now if you look at the second line, minimal use of building or coding resources. Okay, so now that's actually dealing with core values and the robot. So if, let's say, they got an accomplished in the first one, you would check that box. That applies to the robot. On the next one, okay, some uses of building, so they got a developing. That's a developing that applies to that score for the robot. That's also then developing for core values.
Very good. I can't see chat while I'm sharing, doesn't he? Let's see.
Yep.
Honestly, I was kind of hating on these new rubrics until I realized that in the judging room, it was so much more clear, because I remember us having like challenging discussions about double counting things in the past and not being able to tell if you should double count for a really great project in the core value section. And I think this makes it much more explicit that the intention is to quote unquote double count in certain areas and not others for certain core values. It makes it,
And
it will hopefully make it easier.
And like Brian Farrell said last week, it's more of the process that they use to get there. So it's starting to align more that way.
Yep.
Is there anything else in here that any teams would want to look at? Any other of the resources that you'd like for me to show that maybe you haven't seen yet? Yeah, I saw your comment there, Elijah. Yeah. So I do think that's true. So when I call the rubrics the answer to the test, I truly believe that. I think that, we are giving you the answer sheet here. So as long as you understand what you're looking for, so when you're doing your research and you're doing your presentation stuff, are you, just ask yourself, am I given a clear definition of the problem? And if you're not, then maybe bump that up a little bit. So you guys should be printing these out in practice sessions. And coaches should, when you guys are starting your project research and doing your skits and whatever you're doing, you guys should be scoring yourself on these. And, honest, subjective. If you can get somebody like Jen was saying, she, has done some judging for teams and stuff. Get teachers, get pastors, get parents to just, help you guys look and see where you are. Because sometimes when you're in it, you don't understand where you are. You think you're either a lot better or a lot worse than what you are. So definitely print out a bunch of these things. And as you get closer to tournament season, or even now, start judging yourself, start rating yourself. Know where you are. So there's a question there, Brian, in terms of championship score. What is the multiplier on the score from the robot table? Do you know that answer?
Not quite sure I understand. Multiplier on the game table.
Yeah. So
He's asking about the 25, 25, 25, 25.
Everything is still 25 across the board. So even though core values is rolled into robot ending, core values is still 25%. So it's 25% innovation project, 25% robot, and then 25% core values, and then 25% the score and game table.
So what do you guys do with when we send back a 3 versus a 4? What do you guys do with that? Is it just go into deliberations, or is there an actual
Are you
mathematical
talking about the
equation?
core values side of it?
Yeah.
So there's a whole spreadsheet that we fill
Okay.
out, and core values has the core values from the judges room, and then the core values. So we put all the scores in there, and it's totaled up under core values.
Okay.
So it'd be the same as if somebody gave them a 4 in the core values judging room. It's weighted the same as what it is on the game table.
Okay. So one more time, does anybody have anything they want to see in here? If not, I'll stop sharing that.
Hey, Jay, would you go back to the rubrics, please?
Of course.
Just one comment that I feel sometimes gets overlooked.
Yeah, sure.
Judges are given explicit instructions that this is a truncating scoring process. If the team is kind of a high 2, almost to a 3, that's still a 2. So most panels will have 3 judges in it. You obviously the teams would need to convince at least 2 of them that they are sufficiently at the higher level, but it's a truncating process, not a rounding process. So
Right, and that's a good point, Craig. And I know there's some people that have judged before. If it says 1 and 2 to get to that level, it's got to be both. It's not, well, they did partial. It's got to be clear that it's both.
So in fact, we are going to use these Zoom sessions in October to go through the rubrics in more detail. We're saving it for October because a lot of teams register mid to late September and want to make sure everybody is at least available to get the information. So be prepared in October for possibly some lengthy discussions on the rubrics during these Zoom sessions. Because for those of you that didn't do the math, 75% of the overall score for the champions ranking is in the judging room. So know those rubrics, assuming you would like to advance to the next round.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I just want to check Slack real quick and make sure there's nothing in there I missed that I wanted to share.
Craig, just a quick question. When is the first Explore call? Like not the one we're having this week to talk about the Explore calls, but the actual first Explore call that will replace this call.
You mean Zoom for Explore coaches?
Correct.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll discuss that Wednesday. Well, that was kind of on one of my closing comment with regards to Explore. Those of you that are here for Explore, we do have our planning meeting on Wednesday. Hopefully get as many festivals on the calendar as possible, and then we will begin communicating more about the Explore season. So just be patient with us, please.
There's also, so we always send you guys to Slack for a bunch of other resources. There's also a channel on there for FLL Explore. We did have someone, and I'm not sure how she got there, but she found her way to the Slack channel, was looking for Explore. And what she did was perfectly fine, just on the general message board, just said, hey, is there an Explore channel here? And we added her to the Explore channel. So yes, there is one there. I'm actually going to drop the Slack link in here. That's an admin link, so I think it will not expire. I think that's what I put. Or I should say a link from admin. So if you follow that link and join, and I'll put this in the YouTube description as well. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you want to get to the Slack that we keep talking about, you don't know what it is, hit that link. It'll take you over there.
I guess in my open remarks, I failed to mention that this is being recorded.
Oh, yeah.
And will be posted on the YouTube channel Just search for Wisconsin FLL. You'll get there.
I guess one further thing that I would like to mention is we do every year, well, for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been putting together a Zoom call for the kids, where we call it Hang In With the Refs and Judges, where the kids can call in on Zoom and they can actually talk to us directly, ask us questions, share any information they want, communicate directly with us. I'm going to try to get that set up. I don't know. You guys think that the end of September is too soon there? I would like to have something before the scrimmages start because I want them to be able to make changes and know what to expect at scrimmage, because shortly after scrimmage, we enter tournament season. So if anybody has any ideas about starting dates or anything like that, and I guess I should say, so that Zoom call will not be recorded because of the kids. We don't want any of their information getting out, so that will not be recorded at all, but they're free to log in. We would like for them to have some, their parents or a coach or something available around. They don't have to attend on the meeting, but.
So Jay, a recommendation from the car here. Maybe have it the week between Twist and Waukesha.
Oh, okay. So that's
because if teams have questions after Twist, the 12th,
that's fair.
then they could ask it, and if they have questions going into their next scrimmage, then they could ask those as well, and then the kids might be able to share experiences.
I think that's a fair suggestion. We did it early one year. Well, actually, the first year we did it almost end of season, and it was very enjoyable. The kids loved it, but there wasn't a lot, a lot that they could gain from it other than just hanging out and talking about the season. We want to give them something that they can actually take into the season. So yeah, that's fair, Jen. I'm going to put that down as our tentative possible date here. And that's so it's between the 12th and 26th, whatever that 2-week period is. We will not be replacing, since that's going to be in the middle of practice season and stuff. I don't want to replace this call with it, so it will not replace this call. We'll schedule it for another day, and I'll probably put a poll out on Slack as well, so you guys can let me know what day you prefer. Okay, Craig, your email is
FLLteams@badgerbots.org.
with an S. FLLteams with an S at badgerbots.org. If you go to was it in the newsletter? The welcome letter. So Craig puts out a welcome letter. Do I have a copy of that somewhere?
You get copied every time it goes out, Jay.
No, I was looking for the welcome letter that has our emails in there as well. Should you guys want to contact Brian Hicks, Brian Farrell, myself, Eric Orlowski, or Craig, there's emails in there. But I always put Craig to work anyway. So if you guys have any questions at all, send questions to Craig and he'll forward them where they should go. Is that in the... I'm looking now. I don't see that. Is that actually in the...
No. The welcome letter goes directly to coaches,
Gotcha.
separate from the newsletter.
Okay.
So that goes, I send it on weekends as teams register at firstinspires.org. That's
Gotcha.
the only way I know that we know that teams exist. So if you want to get information timely, it's important to get registered at firstinspires.org. That should be the first thing to do.
Okay. I think that's all of our contact information there. There are, I guess I said that's all of it, but it's not. So if you go to Slack, if you have a direct question as well, you can certainly send an email to Craig. We've had a couple of those come out. We answered their questions there. You can actually go to the Slack channel. There is a judges channel there and a referee channel that you guys can post your questions in there as well. And also, one of the advantages of that is you can look at previously asked questions that maybe you haven't thought about and get the answers for. So, all right. That's all I got, guys, unless anybody has any more questions.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.